11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. What a fight! I think the winner won it. Juan, the Hispanic causing panic, Lascano.
Thanks to those joining me live and those that will be joining me on the archive, DStyleBoxing here. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the bell. That way you get notified every time DStyleBoxing comes on live. I'm not going to be on that long. I'm going to try to watch as much as the Buffalo Bills, and TV's over there. It is what it is. But I'm trying to put some type of content just every day, right? You know what I mean? And give some thoughts of mine and all that good stuff. Doesn't have to be that long. But here I am. Let's talk about it. You know what I mean? If anything, whatever it is I want to talk about, put it out there. That's that, right? How did the term boxing fan become a dirty word? Like, because I've been noticing there's people that talk about boxing fans like it's like a collective group of people that crawl out of a cave and just go on X or turn on a camera and start talking boxing, and then they turn it off and then they go back to their cave. Like, you know what I mean? They go back to their cave and just disappear until they're ready to come back out again. And I've never heard a fan base really be talked about in such a monolithic way, to be honest with you. It's unbelievable how people talk about boxing fans. It's unbelievable how they talk about who theoretically is going to be your audience if you're giving boxing content. It's kind of weird how they talk about especially diehard boxing fans, the hardcores, right? The hardcore boxing fan gets accused of the craziest shit imaginable, right? And they just get and I'll tell you why. I think people feel it's easy to do it, right? When you just generalize like that, if somebody says, "Hey, I'm not like that," oh, I'm not talking about you. Oh, no, not you. I mean, the other ones. And I think that's really what it is. It's an easy way to target people. It's an easy thing. It's just lazy to say it. It. And I do think that certain individuals in the boxing world, like Steven Espinosa, have successfully convinced some individuals that the problem is not people like him that have driven the sport of boxing to the ground. He did nothing wrong. You know what I mean? There's no accountability. We're doing nothing wrong. We're doing everything right. It's just that the boxing fan doesn't buy shit. The boxing fan not showing up to the events. The effects. They're trying to tell us that the effects, right, of your causes are the causes. That's not the way it works. That's a Remy. Salute, brother. Right? Shout out to Remy out there. Okay, we'll give him that sound back.
Man, that nigga was that Japanese guy was in shape.
That's right. All right. So I just anyway, I just want to make sure. I just wanted to make sure I came on here and talked about it. Because I'm seeing many content creators, especially, not present a product that boxing fans can watch, but rather, um, create a product where they're trying to, impress people, and they try to do it at the boxing fans' expense. All right. There's people that will interview somebody from the boxing industry. You know what I mean? And there's people like that, and they'll like talk about fans like, and I want to make sure people understand this because I already see it in the chat, right? I understand there's fans and there's fanboys, and I'm going to talk about all of it. All right, I'm gonna I gotta make sure people understand this. I'm not talking about people that are too extreme for a certain fighter. Is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just general fans in general, right? The reality is, fan bases in general are talked down to. Fan bases in general, right, are demeaned. Fan bases in general, right, are mocked, right, and they're done for the expense of entertainment and for the expense of content. Now, people can do what they want, right? But I'm going to tell you this right now: people try to separate themselves, from just being a fan. Is what I'm talking about, right? Like it's such a dirty thing. Like it's just a bad thing. I've been saying this for years on this channel. I'm a boxing fan, and I'm proud of it. I haven't. I have no shame in my game calling myself a fan, right? No shame at all. I'm proud of it. It doesn't matter to me. Like, it's not a dirty word to me, right? But there's people that will talk like it's a dirty word, and you know, um, they'll try to separate themselves in some way from just being a fan. Like if they got to write a little article in some obscure website so they could just say they're not just a fan. They'll do it, right? Where you'll see people that actually do work in the industry and have had real impacts in the industry, literally say, "Hey, at heart, I'm a boxing fan." At the end of the day, right? Um, and that's the way I see it. Like, it doesn't matter what I do, and if it's done within the boxing world for me, I will never separate myself from being a fan of the sport. If you watch the sport of boxing and you love watching the sport, you're a fan, bro. It doesn't even matter if you work in the industry. You are a fan. That's what you are because you watch the sport, right? So we're seeing it with like the reason I'm bringing this up is this. I don't believe that there's like a real voice out there for the boxing fan, right? You tune into content creators, they tell boxing fans their opinion doesn't matter, right? Content creators, writers, people in the industry, your opinion doesn't matter. What you say doesn't matter anyway. The fans think they have some type of say, but they don't, right? Andre Ward was our podcast, and all of it is about how the fans won't understand this, the fans won't understand that, and right? Fans are being told to shut up. Fans are being told not to complain. I see people because they separated themselves from being a fan. I always talk about how the fan is complaining about everything. All they do is complain. Oh man, boxing fans. All they do is complain. Every single last one of them. All they do is complain. Yet those same individuals, I see them complain about shit all the time. But you know what? I think they've convinced themselves that they could complain because they're not just a fan, right? The fans don't get to complain. You don't get to complain about anything. I can complain because I'm not just a fan like you. You're over there with the okay. Antes con los pobres, all right? You're over there with all the the little people over there. Me, I'm actually in the industry, so I could say whatever I want. I could complain about whatever I want. It's okay if I do it, right? You have people that make it their mission. All they do is log in on X just to comment about something negative about the fans, and then they leave X. That's it. That's all they do. So let me tell you, in case it wasn't clear, right? So I got some people watching my channel right now, right? You got some folks watching. So I'm going to ask you guys in the chat right now because people talk about fans like they're just like crawling out of something, And another thing that's been like done dirty too is if someone's a fan of a fighter. Like we have boxing fans that act like you can't be a fan of a fighter, like that's a bad thing, right? Even though that's always been done, right? So when you watch these boxing matches, you're just watching from a neutral sense. Like you just watch two dudes fight with no interest whatsoever on who you want to see win. You're just like neutral about the result, right? And you just watch from an analytical standpoint, and that's it, with no emotional involvement whatsoever on who wins the fight. You have no favorite on who wins the fight. You don't have a favorite. You don't. All boxing matches are all equal in your eyes. It doesn't matter who the opponent is because you're not a fan of any of the fighters. You're just a fan of the sport, right? You have the same invested interest in every single boxing match. Yeah, bullshit. That's not true. The people that say that, okay, you get to see it through their actions and reactions with the way they talk about certain fighters and react to certain fighters, right? Two fighters that do the same exact thing, they'll just criticize one of the fighters, not the other, and it's a consistent pattern. You could see it because they have favorites. Some of the ones that say they don't have favorites are the most biased, quite frankly, right? There's nothing wrong with saying, "Hey, this dude's my favorite fighter," right? Yeah, these are like these are the fighters I like. These are the fighters that I root for. There's nothing wrong with that at all, actually. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. Does that mean I'm not an NFL fan because I have a favorite team? Well, because I only buy Buffalo Bills merch and I don't buy merch from other teams. I'm not a real fan of the NFL. Nobody says this dumb shit about any other sport, by the way. Like nobody does this with any other sport. Here's what I want to ask everyone that's watching right now. Okay, if you're on X at the moment, or if you're on YouTube, what I want to ask everyone that's watching at the moment. Okay, everyone in the audience. Okay, and shout out to Puerto Rican Rum, Bruce Gas, Undefeated Darkness, Carlos. Well, look, it's going to be Chicano Prophet in the chat forever, whether he likes it or not. It is what it is, right? Here, you're Chicano Prophet, right? It's like, damn. That's what it is. But, shout out to Remy, Abner, Real Talk Boxing, all you guys. Puerto Rican, I think I said your name already, but Wheelchair Man John. Here's the thing. Look, brother, there's definitely a condescending attitude towards the consumer 100%. Right? And I'm telling you that's a real thing. But here's what I'm going to say. Everyone in the chat right now, right? Puro Sur, how's it going, brother? Everyone in the chat right now, I want you to tell me if you're a boxing fan, or no, I'm not a boxing fan. I'm better than a boxing fan, and if you're better than a boxing fan, tell me why. Right, that's number one, right? But are you a boxing fan, Anthony Sanchez? How's it going? I just want you to type in the chat, yes or no, if you're a boxing fan. If you're proud of being a boxing fan, tell me you're a boxing fan in the chat. Just say yes, or yes, I'm a fan, or you give me a boxing glove emoji, whatever it is, you're watching this right now. Are you a boxing fan, or are you ashamed of being a boxing fan? Right? Is it a dirty word to you, or are you proud of being a boxing fan? Right? So that's the first question I want to ask the chat. Everybody watching in the chat, right? You let me know if you are a boxing fan, right? So, and Wilmer Chairman John says, yes, I'm a boxing fan. All right. Puro Sur gives a big smiley face. I'm assuming that means he's a boxing fan. All right. Sturt says he's a boxing fan. Let me know, guys. Are you a boxing fan? Right? Oh, there you go. Okay, he's what he says he is. Yeah, says Boxing Magic. Abner Ortega. There you go. Anthony Sanchez. There you go. All right. There's a couple of you. Maybe you're ashamed of being a fan, whatever it is, right? It's cool, But if you're a boxing fan, let me know in the chat, right? I guess Chicano Prophet isn't a real boxing fan because he's not put it in the chat. You know what I mean? But Vertical Ram says he's a fan, not a fanboy. Okay, I mean that's cool. Bruce Goss says number one boxing fan. All right, so Bruce Goss, not only is he a boxing fan, he's the number one boxing fan. You know what I mean? Like he's ahead of everybody, right? So now everyone, so I asked you if you're a boxing fan. Cool. Now tell me, you don't have to be specific, all right? But everybody watching this, tell me what your profession is. Tell me, or what field it is that you work at, right? And if you're retired, what you used to do. Let's put it that way, okay? Because I know there's people that are retired and in their 50s, 60s that watch my show, but whatever you used to do or what you do now, right? What's your profession? What best describes what you do for a living or did for a living, right? And if you don't mind, okay, you don't have to be specific, like I said, but put it in the chat and tell me who you as a person, as an individual, right? What do you do for a living? What's your profession? Or what did you use to do, right? What was your, if somebody said, hey, that guy used to do that, what is it? Or he does this, what is it, right? And so these are boxing fans, all right? Fitness professional, electrician, retired builder, management, property management, tech service, all right? Works in trade, blue collar, working man. IT for 20 years, right? And if anybody else wants to say, you're a fan, yes. What do you do for a living? What's your profession? Right? What do you do? Now, I'm going to go down the list here, right? Retired Army professional vehicle detailer. There you go. I have veterans that watch my show, right? Because I actually talk and connect to some degree. I'm not saying I become friends with every single person, but look at this painting company, right? I'm assuming that's his business, right? When people generalize the boxing fan, right? Like I said, they talk about boxing fans like they're people crawling out of a cave, and like they're just people that know nothing about nothing. and just want to talk about boxing, and then they give their opinion, and then they have the audacity to do it, and then they go and crawl back to a little cave. So I want to make sure you understand that there are business owners that watch this show. There are blue collar, hardworking people that watch this show. There's construction workers that watch this show. There's electricians, IT people. There's property management people. There's people that work in management. There's people that are just think of all your 9-to-5s, entrepreneurs, whatever it is. People of all walks of life are boxing fans. They're not like just people crawling out of a cave, right? Like that's not what it is, and that's how people talk about them. You know what I mean? So let me go down the list of all this. So, because this is only done in boxing, right? But it is what it is. Bruce Goss was a fitness professional, right? That's what he did. So, or does, etc. Does, did, whatever. Does that mean that only Bruce Goss is qualified to tell if someone's in shape or not? Like, if you don't work in the fitness industry, does that mean you don't have the capability of seeing, hey, that person looks in shape? Or you don't have you don't have the ability to see that someone just ran 8 miles and say, man, that's impressive, right? Oh shit, he just did 20 pull-ups. That's pretty good, right? You can't have an opinion on it. You can't judge on it. Is that what that means? Puro Sur is an electrician. If I hired Puro Sur, right, to wire some shit for me, right? When I flick the switch and the light doesn't come on, they say, hey man, I'm no electrician, but I'm pretty sure when I flip the switch, the light should come on. And then it should turn off when I go downward. Can Puro Sur tell me? No. Like, who are you to tell me? Like, you don't know anything about electrician. Like, you don't being an electrician. What do you know about electricity and all that? You don't know nothing. Like, what? You're not qualified. Have you ever wired anything like that in your life? Have you ever done this before? No, you got to go to the next room to flip the switch, to turn on the light in this room. Like, if he tells me that, if Puro Sur tells me I need to go to the next room, right, to turn on the light, and to turn it off, I got to go to the next room to turn off the light in this room, just because he's an electrician and he's the expert, I can objectively say, no, that's not how it works. Like, the light switch in my room to turn off the light here, right? I don't need to go to the office to turn on the room. I should be able to do it here or vice versa. I should, the light switch in the kitchen, right, shouldn't turn off the light in the room all the way to the end of the hall and vice versa. Well, what are we doing here? That shit happens in boxing all the time. They tell us shit that makes no sense. And we're like, what do you mean? That doesn't make no. What do you know? You're just a fan. I'll sit there and shut up and take it. Right? Retired builder. Shout out to Tom. Let me go a different direction with it. If Tom builds, a brand new, let's say they hired him to build like it's like I don't know, some museum or some shit, right? He just builds a museum of fine arts, whatever, right? And he builds it. Now I get whatever, like he's gonna do whatever the the blueprint says, and the architect set up fine. So then I go and I look at it, right? And I'm like, hey man, I think it looks like shit. Like, I don't like the way that shit looks. Like, I don't like it, right? And more people are just like walking around like, man, that building's ugly as fuck, bro. You know what I mean? They just like walk, like, you know what I mean? Can Tom really tell us that we don't have a right to have an opinion about how ugly that building looks because we've never built anything? Well, you never built anything. What do you know, right? Man, you never build anything. Well, what the fuck do you know about building, right? Show me the times you built something, right? And then you have a right to speak because you don't know how this shit works. Let me tell you how this works. I got the blueprint. Okay, these are the measurements, and this is how you got to do it. And look at the skill it took to set this building. You don't know the skill it took to make that building. Yeah, I still think it looks like shit. Well, in boxing, when we have opinions of whether a fight's boring, if we have an opinion about a decision a fighter made, or we're told that we don't have a right to an opinion, that we shouldn't be talking, we should shut up and take it, right? Because you don't work in the business. You don't know anything about how shit works. If you knew how shit works, you wouldn't be complaining about anything, right? I don't know. If I don't like the way a building looks and I think it's ugly, I'm going to keep thinking. You could educate me all you want about how the building was made, how it's built, and all that, but I could still say it's ugly. Management, right? Serge works or he's a manager somewhere, let's say. If Serge is managing a Sears, and I walk in, man, ain't no customers here, bro. What's going on? Can you really tell me I don't know what I'm talking about? And you've never managed a department store, so what the fuck do you know? Right? Like, go sit your ass down. You don't know anything about managing stores, right? So stop commenting about how there's no people here. Property management. I'm not going to go, right? So if, I don't know, it's hard to come up with an example for this one, but if no one's renting at an apartment because the rates are too high, right? And I'm seeing that across the street, there's another apartment complex, right, that is more expensive but better quality, right? And I look at another one that's about the same quality but cheaper. And this one's right in the middle. I'm going to see, okay, what's the value that this apartment complex brings? Can Chicano profit really kind of be like, no, look. Have you ever worked in property management? No. Don't comment about rent and why are you talking about rent and how much rent costs and that who are you to say that other apartment complex has better this better quality? Well, because I've seen them, they look better, they look nicer. No, but who are you to say that? You never worked in property management. Well, what the fuck do you know, right? I am just saying. Remy was in the army. If I disagree with some foreign policy thing that the United States government is doing, and they're sending the army out there, is he going to say, oh, no, you don't get to comment about that? Well, what do you know about the military? You've never been in the military. You've never been in the military, so don't comment about the military. You shouldn't be talking about, what's done with the military or whatnot, because you don't know anything about the military. Okay, sit down, shut up, and take it. You know what I mean? It's not a thing. Painting company, right? If I hire Javier to paint the outside of the house, right, and it doesn't look good, and I could see like the paint, like it seeped through, and you could see the previous cutter sticking out, and he says he's done, right? He could tell me he's the expert, and I'm not the guy that paints all he wants. But if I see what I see, I'm going to comment on it, right? So the point is, shout out to Remy. I appreciate the gifting of the memberships, brother. Much appreciated. But anyway, he says that only happened once. Pretty cool. You can open a garage from a light switch in the bedroom. Well, there you go. That's amazing. And I'm going to tell you something else. There's a term called conflict of interest. Okay, and I'm going to leave you guys with this one. Conflict of interest. Let me tell you guys something, man. A lot of people in the business have a conflict of interest. That's what they have. It's funny because they try to pass off like the people they know, like, oh, you got to believe what I'm saying because I know these people. So I know. No, what you have is a conflict of interest. That's what you have. You don't have any, you have an incentive to present things in a positive light for those people. That's what's happening. That's really what it is, right? People in the business telling you everything's good is equivalent to when police officers do and police departments do their own investigations. Okay. Hey, we did an internal investigation, and turns out that dude wasn't shot at the back. After our internal investigation, a couple months later, body cam is finally released. Oh, yeah, he was shot in the back. What happened to your internal investigation, right? You think it's a coincidence, guys, that there's people that when they get access to certain fighters, they change their tune? They could criticize the shit out of a fighter, then they get access to them, right? And now they're the biggest fan of the fighter. And they'll say ridiculous things because they want access to that fighter, right? Now think about how deep you are if you're actually in the industry. If you actually work in the industry and you know countless managers and promoters, and you're really deep in the weeds with them. The reality is a lot of people out there have a big conflict of interest where somebody like me, somebody like people watching the show right now, right? Somebody like Calix, somebody like Joe Habib, we're not dependent at all on having access, to events. We're not dependent at all on getting credentialed. We're not dependent at all on getting interviews. We're not dependent on any of those things. All right. We're independent thinkers, and we're able to objectively look at things, right, and judge them accordingly. Whereas somebody in the industry is going to have a conflict of interest when it comes to that, right? So it's as simple as that. I got to go watch. I'm going to go finish watching this Bills game. I appreciate everybody that tuned in. Make sure you hit the like button before I go. This is DStyleBoxing. Keep it boxing. I'm out. Peace.